Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Higher Truth production, and this is an astounding and amazing video. This is an announcement that should shake the world. This is a declaration. This is huge. Lyme disease can be cured, and you don't have to spend a bunch of money and do a bunch of testing. I know, because that's my blood you see before you on the dark field. Those strands you see hanging down, those translucent strands were strings of spirochetes. They're starting to form here. This is a specimen of blood with a drop of copper in solution placed in. 15 minutes later, these strands were there, and the white cells doubled in size and tripled in brightness and became activated. Every single one of those strands has a macrophage attached to it, which is devouring the spirochetes. Amazing to watch this play out right before my eyes. I had some severe symptoms and was actually thought I was doing quite well until I saw my blood, and then that changed a lot of things. I was struggling with a few things, but at least I could walk again, and I felt like that was a huge accomplishment, which it was, using silver, ozone, and some other modalities. So before the copper was added, this is what it looked like. You can see, even though there's a high reflection and it's a poor quality picture on a camera phone, you can still see detail on the white cells, those large white things in front of you. You can see detail. You can even see movement if you look real close. And that's amazing, because 15 minutes later, those things were glowing so bright, you could see no detail. This is the same specimen. This is a still frame. They look blurred because they're so bright. And that's because everything before you absorbed so much copper, and it's reflecting light. Now, what happened? These spirochetes were in the red cells. Most of them were. There wasn't hardly anything swimming in the blood. But as soon as we put the copper in there, many of the adults came out of the red cells. The ones with larvae and immatures, they loaded up with copper. And look how bright some of those red cells became. Those spheres floating by you, translucent, those are red cells. The ones that are bright and clumping together at the lower left of your screen, those are red cells that are infested. Because the organism we're attacking is polarized, it has a positive and negative end. Ionized metals respond to magnetic fields. In this case, the copper has a net positive charge. It attaches to the negative end of the spirochete, and that you can tell just by watching. You can tell this is electromagnetic. The way they linked up, like bar magnets, yes, that's electromagnetic or chemically magnetic, however you want to put it. But the true follow-up to that is that the spirochete, when you look at the anatomy, one end of the spirochete has the nucleic acids, and the other end, the completely opposite end, has the cytoplasm, which contains positively charged. So you have negative charge, positive charge, and you have acid, you have alkaline, and therefore you have a polarized spirochete, which may aid in its ability to swim. But the chains are starting to link up on the edges of the specimen. The white cells are right before your eyes are getting brighter and brighter, and they're actually growing. The nucleus of the cells are swelling up, and it's amazing. Now, if you read the hard research on this phenomenon, you'll see that some experts are trying to sell us that what the white cells are doing is gobbling foreign bodies. Endocytosis is what they call it, when they gobble up a foreign object. That's not what's happening here. Copper is needed in almost every organelle in the cell and every nucleus, so it has to be absorbed. And if you have a highly active nucleus, then you're going to probably use more copper. And it's not any copper, it's ionized copper, net positive charge. And the reason you can't find this anywhere is because it oxidizes so quickly in nature that you can only find it inside of living things like us and like plants. And when we used to eat plants 4 and 5 times a day, we really didn't need it. But by the time most of us are 18 or 19, we're copper deficient. And the only copper in our bodies is the bad copper. The blue copper, called copper 2, or the copper colored copper, what we see in pipes and what we see in pennies, that copper is not ionized. That's called copper 0. Now, the copper 1 absorbs into cells because, number 1, it's ionized, but number 2, it's needed. It's so needed in the mitochondria. I mean, if it can absorb into mitochondria in the nucleus, it's bioavailable. Besides, endocytosis is happening in this slide, and it happens on that still frame because every one of those strands has a macrophage or a neutrophil attached to it, and it's gobbling those strands up. And that is the endocytosis, not the way it absorbs this copper. So we put a drop of this copper 1 in, and the cells that get really elongated are infected. That's a lot of them. I had like a 70% infestation, even though I was walking again. So, this disease was ready to explode on me if I gave it an opportunity. I was doing several things to make myself feel better and manage the disease. Now, I'm not managing disease. I got rid of it. I eradicated it. And even healthy people test positive under dark field. And that's the way that the cheap, inexpensive, decisive way to tell what's going on in your body is to look at your blood and look for spirochetes. The red cells that had larvae in it, or immature spirochetes, absorb the copper too. Remember, net positive charge. Only 1 electron in the outer shell instead of 2. The spirochetes then get ejected and start linking together because the spirochetes are attaching like bar magnets to one another. Amazing. Simply amazing. Now, the manufacturer refuses to call this a cure. I'm the one calling it a cure. Well, you saw my blood and you hear me now. I'm here today. I'm thrilled to be telling you this wonderful, great news. Now, the manufacturer is putting the money where the mouth is because it's the right thing to do. And when we see people charging $700 an hour for a phone consultation on a disease now that you just take one kind of pill, that's all you really need, and vitamin C and a little zinc separate from the copper is always helpful, but the copper is what you need to get rid of these spirochetes. And I was taking silver, colloidal silver. So ionized silver is not bioavailable, only in a test tube. So there's your before picture again. You can see movement in those white cells. And you can see that when we put a solution in here, a lot of those spheres become ovals and teardrops. And that's because they have an ionized organism in them. And the manufacturer is going to give away a free bottle for every purchase. He'll match your purchase. That means he's going to give away half his inventory. And he's doing it because it's the right thing to do. And also, they're going to even pick up the shipping, and they're going to try to pick up the tax. It's just that the state will let you or not. Depends on what state you're ordering from, I do believe. I'm not sure, but they try to pick up the tax. But the final risk-free, they hand out refunds left and right to everybody who is not happy. And there's not very many people, but some people are taking the copper for other things, trying to help other things. And so satisfaction is guaranteed every time that a Lyme disease patient purchases or enrolls in the convenience plan. The convenience plan that they're offering is more suited to if there's more than one person in the family that has this, or after you've done your trial and you're up to full dosing and even maybe taking a little extra, then the convenience plan can be initiated then. But just for your trial, get a bottle. They'll give you a free bottle. That's like an $80 value they're just handing to you, and then guaranteeing risk-free your investment. So if you're not happy, you just send back 1 or 2 pills in the bottle, and we're good to go. You'll get your refund. This is totally risk-free, and the reason they're giving you a second bottle is so that you can really get yourself up to maximum dosing. This is about a 60-day supply. So get started now, because after too many orders, they're going to have to cut it off. Otherwise, half their inventory is going to be gone, and then they're going to have to start manufacturing more. So get on it now and start your life over. I sure did, and I brought my blood to the video to prove it. And I want to thank the patent holders at Midos Energy for giving me permission to show this footage and to really make this offer for you. Until next time, I bid you peace, and I bid you good health.